special guest. He's the author of the book From Monk to Money Manager, none other than Mr. Doug Lynam. Welcome, Mr. Doug, on Book One Review. And can you please introduce you more about yourself that I miss?
Yeah, well, hi, Daniel. Thanks for having me on your show. It's great to be here. So maybe want me to just tell you a little bit about myself.
Please.
So yeah, I grew up in outside Chicago in a relatively affluent family, and but when my parents divorced when I was about 6 or 7, money it felt from a childhood perspective, it felt like money got weaponized, and each parent used money to kind of get back at the other one. So my brothers and I, we all developed what I would say a very unhealthy relationship to money, and I rebelled first by running off to join the Marines, and I went to officer candidate school, and I graduated, taught my class. Then I had a bit of a spiritual awakening and realized that maybe unresolved anger issues and high explosives were a bad combination. So I should probably think of a different career path. And I was looking for a higher calling in the Marines. What would give me the same sort of meaning and purpose and esprit de corps and camaraderie and discipline without maybe the killing part. So I joined a Benedictine monastery. I became a Benedictine monk for 20 years. And I thought I was escaping the world of money and materialism forever. And it was also a great way to annoy my parents and try to find, the meaning of life. I figured if I was going to figure it out, where better to do that in a monastery. And but I thought I was leaving money and materialism behind when I took a vow of poverty as a monk. But in an ironic twist of fate, about 3 years after I arrived, our monastic community it went bankrupt, and someone had to sort that mess out. And for a weird twist of fate, it fell into my shoulders. So it took me about 2 years to really solve that financial crisis, and then I realized that many of the guests who would come to the monastery looking for spiritual help often had a deep financial issue that was causing problems for them. Either it was the direct cause of their suffering, um, or it was. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit of echo. Can you hear that?
Hmm. Yes, I'm gonna fix it for you. Just go ahead for it.
Okay. And
Okay.
so I realized that the monastic guests who were coming, they had these financial issues that were causing a lot of their existential angst or their anxiety. And if I could solve their financial issues, then a lot of their supposed spiritual problems would go away. And people would often ask me to pray for them, but I realized that yeah, we can do that, but actually doing that and making a budget would be more effective. And if we could teach people basic financial literacy and how to get their finances in order, they could really resolve a lot of suffering for themselves. So I did that for pro bono for about 20 years, and I was in a teaching order. So I was the head of the mathematics department at a private school. I started teaching economics and personal finance as an elective for fun, and then eventually, after 20 years, I got a little tired of the monastic life and was looking to our community was dying. It was like many monastic communities these days. There's not a lot of new people joining, and our community was dying out. So I went looking for another career path and decided to go into finance. So I became an investment advisor and a money manager and an author. And so now I help people resolve their financial issues and find financial peace and freedom. And that's really what my main goal is right now.
Mr. Dog, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Thank you. So let's talk about your from monk to money manager. So tell us, the title from monk to money manager is a profound title. What is the most significant common thread you found between the line of a monk and the life of financial manager?
Well, um, ironically, I think I have more time for contemplation now than I did in the monastery, just because monastic life can be very, very busy, and there's so much to do. So I have a lot more free time now, which I appreciate. But the through line, I guess, would say just is my evolving relationship to the world of money and finance. Is that in the monastery, I had a very negative attitude towards money initially and thought that I believed St. Paul a little too literally when he said that the love of money is the root of all evil. And when you dig into the ancient Greek, it's much more nuanced than the English translation. But at any rate, I think I've learned now to be a little bit more in the Mark Twain camp, who humorously said that it's the lack of money that's the root of all evil. That we now know from the research, from the statistics, that your socioeconomic status is the best predictor of when you are likely to die, because poor people get hit with a laundry list of things you don't want to have. So being broke is like walking over a tightrope over a pit of alligators every single day. And poor people get hit with higher rates of obesity, drug abuse, alcoholism, domestic violence, workplace injury. The list just goes on. All the kind of bad things that you don't want to happen to you tend to magnify with poverty. And so if you can solve people's financial struggles, it can make a really big difference in their mental well-being and their overall spiritual well-being, and often and give them the tools so that they can live a life that makes their soul sing.
Dog, the book challenged the idea that wanting any wealth is inherently greedy. How do you define the crucial difference between being a little
Mhm.
bit wealthy or being
Mhm.
consumed by greed?
um, that's a good question. I would say that, why are you doing it? Like, what's your purpose behind it? If it's to um, build a better life for you and your family, and then use your excess wealth to love and serve a suffering world, then I don't think there's a problem with any of that. Where greed gets uh, out of control is when people become very avaricious, and it's very um, too selfish and too self-centered, to their own detriment and to the detriment of the people that they love around them. So it's about being able to really have a healthy, what I would call a healthy relationship to money, and being able to use your wealth as, again, that tool for love and service to the world. And that's my new book, Taming Your Money Monster, which I'm really excited about. Love to tell you about that.
Oh, Mr. Dog, what is the big difference of your first book to your second book, Taming Your Money Monster?
Well, the first book, From Monk to Money Manager, is really designed to teach people the basics of financial literacy. Like, how do you, does insurance, taxes, investing, saving, all these basic skills that you need to know in order to have a secure and robust financial life. It's really a how-to book. How do you build wealth? How do you manage your finances? And put all the pieces in place so that your financial life is solid. And then the second book, Taming Your Money Monster, is really a why do book. It's a deep dive on human psychology using a tool called the Enneagram, which I can explain, but it's quite complicated. And essentially, what are the psychological roadblocks that you have in the way that are tripping you up and causing you suffering, and maybe making critical mistakes in your financial life based on how your ego is structured and how your personality is structured?
What are the single most difficult spiritual or philosophical belief you had reconcile when you transition from a monastery to the world of finance?
Well, the biggest transition was to stop seeing money as bad or evil, and that money isn't good or evil. It's morally neutral. It's a tool, and you can use it to, like a hammer. You can use it to whack yourself on the thumb, or you can build something really beautiful. And really, what I'm encouraging people to do is see how that building wealth for yourself and being financially secure really is a path to greater freedom, to greater happiness, and even greater spiritual maturity, because now you have the tools to bring your gifts out into the world and help alleviate the suffering that you see around you.
Mr. Dog, you talk about money as a tool. If money is not the end goal, what is the ultimate purpose of becoming a little bit wealthy in your view?
Well, being wealthy isn't about having a lot of money. It's about having options to live a life that makes your soul sing.
Hmm. Make your soul sing. I like that, Mr. Dog. Many people feel a sense of guilt or moral conflict about focusing on money. Having lived a life of extreme non materialism, how do you personally make peace with the pursuit of financial stability?
Oh, sorry, say that last part again.
What, okay, what extreme non materialism and how did you personally make peace with the pursuit of financial stability?
Well, I think these are what I call dealing with your money monsters, and so what I found is a lot of people, not all, there are plenty of people who take a vow of poverty or extreme anti-materialism for the right reasons. But then what I found in the monastery is that a lot of people took a vow of poverty or for the wrong reasons. That it was because they had these underlying fear of money. It was their anxiety or their this sort of anti-materialism that was rooted in maybe childhood traumas or around money and wealth, and that didn't always serve people to the best of that they could be. That that by what I learned in the monastery, and here was a hard. I'll give you a quick story. So there was a brother in our community, and I call him Brother Pius. And for many years he refused to touch money in any form, wouldn't touch cash or credit cards. And so what that meant, because he had this weird belief that somehow money was inherently corrupting or impure, and even touching it was somehow, you know, defiled him in some way. And the weird part about that is, if we were to assume that his misguided hypothesis was correct, then what he did was make the rest of us touch money more often so that his hands could stay clean, which is hardly a loving and compassionate approach to your fellow brothers. And it meant that the monks around him had to work a lot harder to keep the community fed and clothed and housed, um, because of his extreme aversion to money, which was really a form of egoism in a way, that renouncing money for the wrong materialism for the wrong reasons can be just as much as an egoic and spiritual trap as someone who is very greedy and avaricious for the wrong reasons. It's trying to get, I think the big lesson for me through all of it was, how do we get out of this dualistic thinking around money, that it's all bad or it's all good, and coming up with these overly simplistic solutions or ways of looking at it that allow us to be more nuanced. And then and the real struggle, the real tragedy of our monastery was, because we were broke, we were unable to be of service and help people as effectively as if we had our financial house in order.
Mr. Dog, let's talk about unpractical financial wisdom. What is the one monk like habit or mindset that people can adopt today that would the most immediate positive impact on their financial health?
Ooh, that's a big question. Well, I think there's sort of three main um, components to what I would call all monastic wisdom, and that would be contemplation, which is a meditation or prayer practice; compassion for yourself and the people around you; and then action, taking action, the appropriate right action for you. So putting those three pieces together, being able to think deeply about your financial struggles, having an honest and accurate assessment of where you're at, then having some compassion for yourself for whatever circumstances you may find yourself in, trying to beat yourself up too much if things aren't going great, and then finding out what that right action is. What steps do you need to take today to improve your financial health, so that you can really have that life that you have always dreamed of.
Interesting, Mr. Dog. The market is often driven by fear and greed, two
Yeah,
emotions a monk learns to master. What are your
yeah.
practical advice for detaching from these emotional roller coasters from making investment decisions?
Well, it's hard. I mean, it's hard to detach your emotions, But the more you can do that, the more you can have. Well, first of all, you shouldn't be in any investments that are going to keep you up at night. If that's at least I prefer not to. Like I prefer things that allow me to sleep comfortably. So I have a well diversified portfolio, and then basically just ignore the market news. One of the people who tend to take a buy and hold approach over time invariably do better than the people who are day trading or shifting their investments all the time, because then you get caught up in the emotions. So the big idea is to have a game plan, put it into place and execute it, and then not really watch the market too much. If you're doing that, there's probably better things you could be doing with your time than following the market on a daily basis. You basically want to check in every few months to see how things are doing, but you shouldn't be uh, your investments shouldn't be fluctuating that much month to month, maybe year to year, but not certainly daily or weekly or monthly.
You advocate for simplicity in investing. In a world of complex financial products, what does a truly simple and mindful investment portfolio look like?
Well, the simplest portfolio would just be straight index funds. They're capture the power of the entire market, and you'll do better than 90% of the investment advisors out there. Because the more you trade, the more fees you incur often, and the more money changes hands, the more some part of it goes to somebody else. So I think one of the things to understand about Wall Street is that it thrives on your trading. Like it thrives on market movement. It doesn't matter whether you win or lose. It matters that you're placing trades all the time. So the less you can be doing that, the less you're going to be subject to the whims of your emotions, and the less money is going to be siphoned off for through all the transactions and various fees that can accrue when you're making trades.
Mr. Dog, as an author, what are your short term and long term goals?
My short and long term goals. Well, my short term goal is to keep promoting this my new book, Taming Your Money Monster. It just came out in July, so I'm right in the middle of a book tour and promoting that. So my short term goal is to make sure that this continues to be a success. It's getting 5-star reviews on Amazon. So if anyone out there wants to pick it up and post a review, that would be a huge favor. So making this book a success, and then promoting my investment advisory services, my public speaking. I'm a great public speaker. And then I also do business coaching. So people who maybe need help, individual help with their personal finances, or coaching with their businesses that may be struggling, I'm also available for that.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Dog, and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
I don't think anybody wants to be like me. But stay curious. I would say that is be curious about the world of finance, and let your curiosity take you to unexpected places.
Yes, thank you for that advice, Mr. Dog. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Oh, yeah. There was a really good one called Naked Economics by Charles Wieland that I really love. It's not really about investing, but it's about how the macro economy really works. And if you want a good understanding of without a lot of numbers, without written in plain, simple English for people who maybe don't have a lot of deep understanding of how markets work, or even if you do, it's a great primer on economics 101.
Thank you for that recommended book, Mr. Dog. And tell us, having seen the extremes of poverty and the extremes of wealth, what do you believe its true cause of getting our relationship with money wrong?
Stress. You're going to be very, very stressed.
Hmm. Well, people, you need to meditate so that you will get rid of stress. So, what does wealth mean for a non financial aspect of our lives? How does financial stability contribute to that broader wealth?
Well, it gives you time. So it means that you're maybe once you have a little bit of wealth, then you're not bound by a paycheck. You're not grinding for that. You're not living week to week or paycheck to paycheck. You have more opportunities to do the things that you love and spend more time with your family and friends. And you'll see your overall well-being up to a certain point. There's a limit, but it will it money can't buy everything, but poverty can't buy anything.
Definitely. Well, Mr. Doug, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please don't listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well, geography 101, love letters, movie 101 review, and music 101 are in their fourth season, and my baby podcast, Law 101, and Mental Health 101, as well my Bible Verses 101, Science 101, and Sex 101 in their second season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So finally, what is one thing you hope readers will walk away from your two books?
I hope they'll come away with a better understanding of how finance works, a better understanding of themselves, most of all, of how they approach their financial life, good and bad, and have the tools to really, build a robust financial future for themselves and their family.
Mr. Douglas Lynam, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Hoping for more and more empowering books like this to come. So, can you
Thank
please
you.
invite our listeners to support your books, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yeah, if anyone wants to reach out to me, you can contact me on my website, which is my name, DougLynam.com. That's DOUGLYN as in Nicholas, AM as in Michael.com. And you can reach me there and you can find my books and all my other offerings as well.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Douglas Lynam, because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering books like this to come. So, Mr. Dog, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate you.
Modicon people, see you soon.